What is up, friends? We are Sports Take, JAKIB Sports YouTube Network. Barrett, Derek, Rob hanging out on this Tuesday with you. All right, so let's hit some Birds stuff here, guys. They signed right before, as I mentioned, we got underway today with the program. They signed a linebacker from the Bears, Nicholas Morrow. Nicholas Morrow last year for Chicago, 116 tackles, 11 tackles for losses. The scouting report is he's essentially better in coverage than he is against the run. He played his first 4 years in Oakland. Oakland for 3, and then it was Vegas for 1. And then he moved over to Chicago last year. Career, as I mentioned, 5 seasons in total. All told, he's got 102 tackles. Depending on how you look at it, some of those are assisted tackles that I mentioned, for this past year. But that's what you get with him. He is 6 foot 225. He's 27 years old, comes out of Greenville is where he went to college. He grew up in Huntsville, Alabama. He was, he's a guy who is, I think, a solid pickup is the way I would categorize it. He isn't a Pro Bowler or anything like that, but solid.
Here's what it tells me. Now, he made 11 tackles behind the line of scrimmage, okay?
Yep.
And how many total tackles did he have?
116.
So that tells me
those numbers can be a little funky.
That tells me 105 tackles probably were downfield. If he's not good against the run, but he's good in coverage, it tells me he has speed, but he's not stout enough to hold the line of scrimmage. And we don't need that because we already had a defense that was, number one, suspect at times in defending the run, and number two, tackling was not just a job, it was an adventure with this defense in a lot of cases. So if this is a guy who's better in coverage, we don't need better in coverage linebackers. We need guys that can blow up the hole. Yep. Am I right or wrong, Mr. Brooks?
Well, it didn't move the meter for me when we got him, but you never know. What I will say is we need guys to come in. They got to fill a 90-man roster.
Yes. Now,
if we get a diamond in the rough out of that 90-man roster, we'll see what he's bringing to the table. I don't know just yet, but at least we're getting guys that can at least play or have some reps. See, I'm all about impact tackles. I told you guys what impact tackles are. Impact tackles are tackles that are 3 yards before or 3 yards after the line of scrimmage. When you can make plays like that, I've seen a lot of guys like Singleton. What's that, Singleton? Remember Singleton?
Yeah, with the Broncos.
He'd have like 150 tackles.
Yep.
They'd be 10 yards down the field.
Right.
Yes.
I don't need those type of stats.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying?
He's a converted safety, guys. He was when he was drafted in college, he came out as a safety.
What tells me he can run?
That's Kazir White.
Kazir, very similar. You're right,
yes.
Barrett. So they the Raiders converted him. He missed his last year in Oakland, which was the 21 season. He missed the entire year with a broken ankle, and then he played last year with the Bears. So
he might have some potential, man. I mean, 116 tackles is nothing to sneeze at.
Who knows?
No matter where they are, but it's I need impact tacklers. I need because right now I know Nakobe. I know for a fact. I can't know for a fact because he hasn't done it enough. I know that Nakobe can play. We know he can play. We definitely know that. Him being a starter in the NFL is a lot different from him being even at the University of Georgia, where the SEC, you got to be a baller to be in the SEC if you're going to be good, if you work for your salt. He was a number 1 linebacker in the SEC when he came out. Last year, he was able to sit down, see what the league was all about, had some pretty good guys in front of him. Given an opportunity, he went out and made some plays when he had that opportunity. Mm-hmm. So we know he can play. Is he big enough? He's been this size his whole life, as he stated before. So we'll see what's going on. But I need some guys that are going to flash. And I was looking at linebackers in the draft. There's a couple guys that move the needle, but it's not like I've seen before, like when Queen was coming out and all those guys were coming out. I don't see necessarily those type of linebackers. A lot of rush ins, a lot of edge players, but I don't see the big time middle linebacker type of player. There's one kid out of Arkansas, plays outside linebacker, long, lanky kid. Played at Alabama, didn't get any reps, goes to Arkansas, balls out in the SEC, becomes all SEC. But We'll see. We'll see. In fact, let me look at I was looking it up in this draft report, man.
While you look it up, the Colts gave Gardner Minshew 3.5 for 2023, at $2 million available in playing incentives, so that could get up a little bit. But
that's dirt cheap to get him.
It's
the kid's name is Drew Sanders from Arkansas.
Okay.
6'4",
Whoa.
233 pounds.
6'4".
Yeah, 6'4", rangy guy. I can see him coming at. He's a first round. He's a first round guy. Yeah, first round guy. Or the kid from Clemson, Trenton Simpson. Now Trenton Simpson is an athlete. He can run. He can play. He's somebody I look at in that first round also. Not necessarily around 10. Both of these guys are gonna be after 10.
I'll tell you what's a shame. Not shame, but Jeremiah Trotter's kid's only a sophomore.
I know.
Had he had another year under his belt and was eligible to come out, how freaking cool would that have been to have Trot's kid as a linebacker with the Eagles, man?
That would have been unbelievable.
He had his sophomore year started a little bit slowly, then he went bananas. He went off the rest of the year. He's going to be a beast. So's the young one who's going to West Virginia. Look out, for both of those guys. Yeah, I hear you. It's going to be interesting, the linebacker spot. Let me throw this one at you guys. This is a little curious. Bijan Robinson visited Philadelphia yesterday. They get 30 looks at prospects that they can bring in, and he's one of them. So what do we make of this with the number 10 and number 30 pick?
Yeah, we brought him in. He got a free trip here.
Well, he got to see Philadelphia for the first time. Probably saw the Liberty Bell, Independence Hall, all that good stuff.
You too. I already know where this is going.
But I inquired about his presence here, and a question I asked was, I knew you wouldn't consider a running back at number 10, but what at number 30? And the response I got was, we're not taking a running back in the first round.
No matter where it is.
Anybody who's thinking that they're going to take a running back in the first round. Now the second, third, or fourth round, if that kid slips down the board, that's a little bit different. But if they stay at 10 and 30, they're not taking a running back in the first round. Period. So I hate to burst your bubble, but you know me, I'm gonna give it to you like it is.
Yeah, my bubble's not burst.
And when I say your bubble, I mean people in general.
I wouldn't spend a first round pick on a running back, not in this day and age. You can get quality later. You can get quality,
even in the second round. Miles Sanders, potentially he lived up to his potential. Really, only 1 year, 1.5, his rookie year and half his rookie year and last year, but. As for him being a start, I mean, I would Jahmyr Gibbs, running back from Alabama.
Mm-hmm.
I'd be more apt to get him late in the second than getting a guy like Bijan Robinson in the first round, because he's gonna go high. He might not make it out. He might not make it to 10.
That's the thing. Like, someone's grabbing him. Like, I wouldn't even see if the Eagles stood pat at 30. He's not going to reach 30. No chance.
No.
Yeah, no shot.
If I'm looking for a running back in the second, third, fourth, fifth round, any running back that's played for Georgia, Alabama, Florida, Ohio State, one of those schools, I'm considering seriously. Any running back that has played for any one of those programs, I got to take a serious look at, because more times than not, I'm not saying they're going to be Hall of Fame running backs, but early on in their careers, they're going to be a good addition to your backfield. Played out of those programs. Yep. So those two schools in particular, even Texas, when you got a running back outside of Bijan, because they're not taking them in the first round. Again, let me emphasize that they're not going to take a running back in the first round. They have other needs they have to address more so than a running back. You already brought it. You got Rashad Penny, you got Gainwell, you got Boston Scott. You're probably going to get another veteran somewhere, or you're going to draft a running back in the later rounds. The only problem is, unless the Eagles, because they missed out on compensatory picks, they're going to be loaded with compensatory picks next year. But this year, it's that Mojave Desert. After the first 2 rounds, you got to sit there until round 7. Okay, so unless you can find a way to finagle some more draft picks, you're probably not looking at a running back until late.
I'll give you my pick.
Who?
K-State's finest in the 7th round. Deuce Vaughn.
Oh man,
really?
7th round.
I love him, but he's like 1'3", man. He makes Darren Sproles look like a behemoth. That dude is small, man.
He's a 1'3".
Oh my God, he's small. I love him. He's tough.
He is, man, but he's a muscle, man. But Maybe gets lost somewhere, you know.
We don't need any more little dudes, man. We already got one.
Little. Like he's little.
He's
scary.
not a crash. He's not a crash dummy though. I mean, he can return.
Oh, no, I'm not saying
returner.
No, I'm not saying that, man.
He won't be like
I'm
a
just
crash
saying,
dummy like we say for the rest of our returners, you know.
But we already have a 5'6" running back, man. We don't need one shorter than that.
His look, he's I just love him because he can't stick it. 5'5",
5'5",
which means he's 5'3".
Yeah, exactly.
175,
165,
$160.
Yeah,
and he runs a 4.40.
4.45, 4.55.
We're just destroying this guy. He is good.
No,
I'm
saying he might make it in the NFL. I mean, look at Darren Sproles. Sproles was 5'6".
Yeah.
Look, he had a long, illustrious career. They found his niche.
He's not, but this guy, you know, Deuce will not be a Donnell Pumphrey. Believe that.
No, I believe that.
I don't know how Donnell Pumphrey was that good because he was.
You know what?
I can't figure out how he was good in college either. I never saw a guy.
Well, first of all, look at the conference he played in. Okay.
I know, but,
still.
I mean, Marshall Faulk played there.
Yes, that's what I'm saying, man. The kid we got now was from there.
Don't you? Let me ask you something. Like when you, because I know Barrett. I know this because we were standing next to each other, both like, oh my god. But like the coaches had to be like, what is this? Like, what did you give us, scouts? You knew right away he had no shot.
Hold on. Rob looked at me. I looked at Rob.
Because here's what. It looks so bad. I'm like, wait a minute. My trained eye is not what Barrett's trained eye is. Maybe I'm not seeing something. Like, I would have said Barrett's like, nah, dude, I know it looks bad, but no, Barrett was like, dude, it's bad. Like,
You should have saw the look. He gave me the look like.
I was like, oh.
He was like.
Because we were right in his little station area. And we were watching them. They were doing other stuff, and they were scrimmaging, and it looked awful. He looked awful. And whoa. Anyway, yeah.
You know, I'd have gave you something like, yeah, man, but he could. I was like, bro, it's bad, bro.
Yeah, that's what I knew it. I'm like, all right, all right. So that was the other thing. But can somebody get to CJGJ? Okay, so like a couple things,
dude. Seriously.
The strangest, here's what I don't understand. And this is like, I get some of this as a byproduct just of social media. I believe me, I get it. Okay. But a piece of this thing, like he's on this whole thing now where now the fans didn't want him. They disrespected him and he's deleting tweets and, you know, all this other stuff. Like, first of all, what fans were screaming for them to get rid of CJGJ?
Exactly. Exactly.
Like I get
everybody to a man were saying sign him.
Yes, bring him back. Bring him back. Yes.
So, you know, again, I don't know if there's like one, if you're taking one out of a 500,000 or whatever, and you're singling that up, but like, come on, dude, stop. Like, stop tweeting, deleting.
There wasn't a one, man. Everybody till he went on and said that, you know, that the Eagles respected him was on his bandwagon.
Right.
I've never seen something shift as fast as it did with CJGJ because they shifted on him real quick. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. they were like, you know, oh, I'm glad he's out of here. He was the savior at first, but now I'm glad he's out of here.
You know, it's like it's two things. It's like it's the whole like getting dumped syndrome. Like you feel like, you know, somebody breaks up with you, you know, you're like, I don't need them anyway, you know, or whatever. It's that. But before that happened, nobody was saying we don't need CJ. Everybody wanted him.
He was the number one guy to sign back.
Yes, CJ did this to himself. Soon as he found out he wasn't getting the money, he wasn't getting anywhere near Jesse Bates' money. CJ lost his mind, and I blame it on his agency for not being able to reel him in. First of all, then you look at what the agency put out there.
They're saying they're two peas in a pod.
He's his own worst enemy.
Yep.
You know, and again, what did I say yesterday, Rob? What did the Saints know that nobody else knew? Because you're thinking as we watched this dude make the transition from corner to safety for the Eagles and got so much better, man, why did the Saints let this guy go? Now we know. Well, you know, and we hear stories about you got to protect CJ from himself.
Right.
See what I'm saying?
That's the thing right there. You know, we don't know what happened inside the locker room because evidently they didn't want to give him the money that he thought he should be owed because evidently it was a locker room problem. I'm not saying it was, but you know, evidently there was something that they knew about who he was that wouldn't allow them to sign him for the money he was wanting. You know, they said, all right, we're going to give you this, but if you don't take this, all right, we're good at what we have right now, because evidently he's not anybody that that they would like to have, you know, on the team. You know, evidently it was worse than what we thought it was.
Yeah. I just it's going to be interesting monitoring what goes on there with him moving forward.
But for him to put out there in a tweet, he believes that Detroit starting 22 is better than Eagles starting 22.
Yeah, that's stupid there.
Yeah, he said this what we have now is better than the 22 Eagles roster. That's what he said.
How dumb can you be?
A team that went 14-3, 2 of those losses were without Jalen Hurts playing. They could have easily been a 16-1 team.
So he puts it out there, and somebody obviously got to, man, take that down.
Yeah.
What are you doing? Take that down.
It's what he always does. He fires off without thinking, and then somebody tries to reel him in, and then he pulls it back. Like, dude, everybody screen captures, every screenshots everything. So
well, this, and plus with him going out and giving stupid tweets like that, there's somebody always on his thing. That's why I tell people, even I go to schools these days and I talk to kids and I tell them, look, once you sitting out there, it's privileged to the 7 billion people in this world.
Yeah.
And everybody's always trying to keep an accurate record on everything that happens, bro. Looking at CJGJ, this is who he's always been, but that locker room was able to hide a lot of hide a lot of the inequities that a lot of these players have. You know, the culture there. That's why I say I don't mind the kid from Georgia coming here, because I know that this locker room can handle those type of people in the locker room. You know, they can handle a guy that, you know, doesn't necessarily work hard, but is just a phenomenal talent, does stupid stuff. We can reel him back in this locker room.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, look, we'll see what ends up happening. But I mean, you know, you're talking about an Eagles roster that had Hurts, who was a runner-up MVP, had 2,000-yard receivers, a tight end who's a top 3-ish, you know, top 5 guy in the league, an offensive line that, you know, it was fully intact last year, the best in the game, and then a defense that came in second all time in sacks.
Yep.
You know, a secondary that he was in with Slay, with Bradbury, with Epps, with Avonte Maddox.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, come on, man. Like, Detroit's made great strides, props. But if you're really comparing Detroit's roster last year, and Detroit gave the Eagles a game, no doubt. But if you're comparing them over the span of an entire season, including the playoffs, which Detroit didn't make, it's laughable. And now
that's because his feelings are hurt. Now,
they've improved themselves this year. There's no doubt. By adding him, just in and of itself, he's a really good player. But
even without him, they were still going to be a team that's up and coming. Yes. You know, their offensive line, they're built great in the trenches. You know, and that's the mark of being a great team. You know, defensive line, offensive line are pretty good. Yeah, their quarterback is still pretty. Jared Goff is playing very well for them. They have, you know, St. Brown. They have some players that can play. You know what I'm saying? Their first rounder last year, the kid from St. Louis, you know, with Alabama. They have some gunners that can go out there and play.
Sure. It's
just, you know, they're in a conference that's terrible too. You know what I mean?
Yeah, their division's terrible. You're right.
I mean, the division is. I mean, the division is terrible.
It's gonna be bad. Yeah.
They're gonna be okay. They're gonna be okay. Mm-hmm. Are they better than the Eagles? Not even close.
No.
Not even close.
No. Yeah, I'm with you. I'm with you.
Well, he won't be walking back through. He'll be a free agent next year. He won't be walking back through that door next year.
Well, his agent won't be walking through the door either.
No.
Well, that's the other part of this thing. Like, okay, if he's sort of angry at the Eagles, I get it. But it wasn't like there were all these other teams knocking down your door. You took a 1-year, $8 million deal with Detroit. So where were all the other teams in terms of your value?
Yes.
Right.
You should be mad at everybody.
Well, you know, do they not understand that the market for the secondary period was bad, man?
It was,
even guys that could play that have shown can cover, just weren't getting the deals that they thought they were going to get this year. Free agency. Slay saw it off top.
Yeah, he did.
Slay looked and said, "Oh, let me bring my butt right back." James Bradbury too. Oh, let me come on right back. At least I got a shot here at winning. You know what I'm saying? You know, I was listening to Hugh Douglas. You know, I don't do that much, but I listened to Hugh this time, and Hugh said something that kind of impacted me. He said that defenses are a luxury. Offenses win in the NFL. And that really meant something. I'm like, dang, Hugh got something there.
Coming from a defensive player, too.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying. From a defensive player saying that they're a luxury. Offenses win in the NFL. I was like, yeah, you're right. You're right. I mean, this offense, usually it's the defense carrying the offense. When I played, our defense carried our offense. We had a young quarterback in Ben Roethlisberger, and we had a running game. But for the most part, those guys on the defensive side of the ball carried that Steeler team. So how things have changed, the tide has turned. You got to be able to stop offenses. And the offenses are hard to stop.
They are
very hard. Whether the quarterbacks are.
I think in terms of just paid, it's clear it's defensive line.
Right.
Look at what Hargrave got. Look at what edge rushers get. That's why the Hassan Reddick deal is a steal.
I'm trying to forget who was that lineman that just came to the Texans. He was just an arrow. He was a run stopper and got pass rusher type money.
Yeah, but that's
some linebackers get paid also. You
like
look at Baltimore
Smith type level too. But you're right, Derek. I mean, but I was really surprised at how little safeties or corners got. Not a lot of corners got great money out there. I thought Bradbury would get way better money.
I did too. Well, you know what? And I go back to what I said yesterday. He might have had better money offers, Rob, but they were from teams. You look at the teams at the top of the salary cap that had $78, $98 million. Does a James Bradbury want to go to Chicago right now at 30 years of age when he came that close to winning a Super Bowl?
Right.
And you take a look at the reality. I mean, yes, this might be he might have turned out. He might have been offered double what he signed for in Philadelphia. We don't know. But the bottom line is I'm in a situation where I have another chance in a conference to get back to that Super Bowl again, and maybe we can rectify what we didn't do in 2022 and win that chip.
People know what I'm saying? This is the destination point.
Yeah.
People want to play with Jalen Hurts now.
Yeah. Do I want to go to Houston, Chicago, Atlanta? And I don't know for sure those are teams that offered him money. But I'm saying that to me, the reason he came back here in a hurry was he wasn't getting money he wasn't getting these offers from like Kansas City, one of these upper echelon teams. These were teams that were looking to rebuild and change the complexion of their team. Can you come in and help us out? Yeah. Right. Can you come in and help us out? No, you know what? I'm at this. If I'm 25, I take the money and run. Right. But at 30, especially for a cornerback, when I'm close to the end of my career, more so than the beginning, I want to put myself in a position to win that chip, something I may never get another chance at again.
Right. Good point. Right. And take it a step further, you know what the culture is here with this team. Like, you know what you're getting. It's not a grass is always green. It's not like, I don't know what I'm walking into there. You know what it is. Yeah.
Yes.
It's a great point. I think it's a great point. I mean, look, the market was weird. Like, there was some overpays in some areas and some way underpays, and I think it caught some agents off guard a little bit.
Yeah,
frankly. And Barrett, it's their job to know that, and I think they were kind of like that's why the whole Slay thing was so weird.
It was definitely weird, but once you really looked at it, look at what transpired, before Slay and Bradbury decided to come back, in Dallas. They went out and they signed, what's his name from the Colts, Stephon Gilmore.
Yeah.
And we're talking about a guy that was all pro. He was close to being Defensive Player of the Year. That's how good he was. Was he Defensive Player of the Year? I think he was close to being Defensive Player of the Year.
You're not talking about last year. You're just saying, was he?
No, man, was.
Yeah,
was.
I
but still a really, really good corner, Stephon Gilmore.
Yeah.
And he got traded for, a box of bottle rockets and, and some flash, bombs and stuff.
Bottle rockets.
It was nothing, man. You know what I'm saying? He got nothing, man. They got nothing for him. What was it? A 6 and a 7?
Yeah, very, very little. Yeah.
So, to have that type of corner, man, and quietly, they're doing something down in Dallas on the defensive side of the ball, bro.
Mm-hmm.
Them signing back Wilson was huge.
It was.
He was the guy I talked about a lot, man. I like his game, bro. I like his game.
Yeah.
Covers ground, hits, smart, instinctive player. Yes.
Well, let's do this. Let's come back and let's look at what the NFC East has done. You mentioned Stephon Gilmore. They traded for Brandon Cooks. Dallas did. You know what the Giants have done, what Washington's done in comparison to what the Eagles have done. So why don't we do that when we come back? We'll dig a little bit further into this with the NFC and the Eagles. Remember, 2:00, Mike Kay from the Charlotte Observer. We'll talk to him about what the Panthers are doing, the NFC South, and the Eagles. Of course, we'll do all that. Get a little bit more into the Sixers, the Phillies. But we got a lot to do. Don't go anywhere. That's Barrett. That's Derek. I'm Rob. We're Sports Take, JAKIB Sports YouTube Network. Time to talk Jim Murray, Principal Financial Group. Yes, because finding that right person, the person you trust more than anything else with your hard-earned money, can be a challenge. And it took me a long time to find the right person. I finally did, and I want to turn that person on to you. And that's Jim Murray and Principal Financial Group. It could be any number of things, retirement planning, 401k review, insurance review. You might have a small business. You're trying to get your employee benefits off the ground. Could be any of those and more. They're all resources that Jim can help you with. I know I've entrusted my IRA, my 401k to Jim, and I couldn't be any happier. You will be as well. Just give him a call, 610-996-4751, 610-996-4751. And you know what? If you're not really sure, just give him a call anyway for a consultation. You can email him as well, Murray, Murray.Jim@principal.com. That's Murray.Jim@principal.com.